Welcome to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. It is Wednesday, which means one thing. It is the day in which I answer your questions. Now, I have a very interesting question this week. The question is, do men really make more money than women? And the claim that has been circulating widely over the past, I would say, couple decades, is that women make approximately 77 cents for every cent that men make. And there's a lot of information on this to where both sides, and I say both sides, and I really shouldn't because there are many sides to this issue, but for the most part, what people hear are the Republicans and the Democrats. And, basically the conservative position and the quote-unquote liberal position. And the quote-unquote conservative position is that men do not make more than women when they are performing equal tasks and doing the same job. That you really need to look at the jobs that people are taking in order to really know if people are being paid disproportionately based on what they are actually doing. And there is a lot, again, there's a lot of information, and you can look at these numbers, and the tricky thing about numbers, most people say, well, the numbers don't lie. Well, you can manipulate the numbers to put out whatever sort of information you want. But let me begin by reading something from a website titled factcheck.org. And this is from April of last year, where a Republican member of Congress, Marsha Blackburn, took a page from the Democrats when she wrongly claimed that the White House is paying women 88 cents for every dollar that a guy earns in a comparable position. That is not true for the same reason that Democrats have been wrong when they say that women in the U.S. earn 77 cents for every dollar earned by men for doing the same work. Neither is a direct comparison of pay for doing the same job. Blackburn's claim was based on an analysis of White House staff members' pay based on Conservative Enterprise Institute's, or rather based on an analysis by the American Enterprise Institute on White House staff members' pay. And the AEI concluded that female staffers of the White House earned 88 cents on the dollar compared to men. The analysis by Mark Perry, no relation, by the way, an AEI scholar and professor of economics at the Flint campus of the University of Michigan, looked at salary data from the 2013 annual report to Congress on White House staff. He found that the 229 women employed in the Obama administration's White House earned a median salary of $65,000 compared with a median salary of $73,729 for the 229 men on the White House staff. The statistic was cited by Blackburn when she was asked why Senate Republicans blocked the Paycheck Fairness Act in 2014. Blackburn said she found the Democrats' war on women rhetoric just almost silly. The Republican from Tennessee argued that the proposed law would have been a boon for trial lawyers and that Democratic initiatives like the Affordable Care Act were unfair to women. Then Blackburn cited the disparity in pay among White House staffers. The 88-cent figure, this according to factcheck.org, was put to White House spokesman Jay Carney during a press conference. Carney said the disparity had nothing to do with women earning lesser pay for doing the same job. Carney last April said, quote, "And here at the White House, equal pay legislation deems that there should be equal pay for equal work, and that's what we have. Men and women in equivalent roles here earn equivalent salaries. I think that those studies look at the aggregate of everyone on staff, and that includes the most junior levels to the most senior, and when it comes to the bottom line, that women do the same work as men, we have to pay them the same. There's no question that that is happening at the White House at every level. So what you have, and I think it's really interesting that basically you have the Obama administration spokesman, and of course this was last year, there's different mouthpiece now, but at the time he was basically making the argument that a lot of times you hear people that are, libertarian or from the Republican side that say, we don't need these laws because the statistics are being manipulated to make it appear as though women earn less. And that's what happened at the White House, to where somebody manipulated the statistics and said, see, here, even in the White House, they're not paying women the same. But you have to look at the jobs that are being done. And Jay Carney said that the women that are doing the equivalent task of men earn equivalent salaries. So, for instance, if you have someone serving as a hostess, regardless of male or female, they're making the same amount of money. If you have somebody that is, more up the chain and doing, like data analysis or something, then the men and the women doing that earn the same. But what you have to look at is that generally you have more men that have the higher level positions. And why is that? There was here we go, an infographic from a website called payscale.com. And the infographic here from payscale.com shows that there are actually slight differences between what men and women make, but it is nowhere near the 80 cents on the dollar that is the figure that is often thrown around by those that are pushing for legislation. So what they have determined is that in software developing, project managing / construction, computer systems administration, registered nurse, elementary school teacher, and human resources administrator, there is on average between 1 to 4% difference between what men make and what women make. Now, why would a male nurse make on average 2% what a female nurse makes? Why would a male elementary school teacher make on average 1% more than a female elementary school teacher? Even though we know that more women serve as elementary school teachers. The infographic shows some of the breakdowns, and I will get to that as far as which jobs have more women, which jobs have more men, and explain why there is a difference in the salary between elementary school teachers that are men and elementary school teachers that are women when we come back on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
When her plush and comfy life suddenly and unexpectedly fell apart, Brooke and her dog Cloud set out to defy the odds. If this is a man's world, as they say, living on the streets is no place for a young woman. One day she awoke in the redwood forest and realized she had become a hobo, and would ultimately come to know exactly what it means to survive. How to Be a Hobo by Brooke Willett is available from Amazon.com and all major bookstores. Coinbase is a simple and secure online Bitcoin wallet for sending, receiving, and storing Bitcoin. Coinbase also allows you to buy and sell Bitcoin using a bank account or use their tools to accept Bitcoin as a merchant. Opening a wallet is quick and easy, and for merchants, there are no transaction fees on the first $1 million worth of transactions. Get started at coinbase.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and Numery supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month or any amount of Bitcoin per month, thanks to the recurring payment options provided by Coinbase. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. That's FANS.fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com. Now, I will get back to answering the question about whether or not men actually wind up making more money than women in just a moment. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about Roberts and Roberts Brokerage. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They take Bitcoin for precious metals purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts Brokerage today for some knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co. So the infographic here from payscale.com, let me just read some of what it says. It says, when you compare men's and women's overall earnings, men out-earn women. But when you compare pay for men and women who are similarly qualified, that's a key word there, similarly qualified, and who work the same job, this gender pay gap typically drops below the 80 cent on the dollar figure that is often reported. They then show, again, software developer, project manager, construction, computer systems administrator, registered nurse, elementary school teacher, and human resources. And again, the pay gap is between 1 to 4%. But why? Men's wages grow for a longer period of time and achieve higher levels than women on average. Why is that? Two things. Job choice. Overall, men and women gravitate towards different careers. The most popular choice for men tend to pay higher than the most popular choices for women. And family responsibilities. Women's pay growth stops outpacing men at around age 30, which is when college-educated women typically start to have children. The effects of job choice. Men are more likely to work in the following three fields than women at a much higher rate. And this is not just the only three. There are many more. But software developer, project manager, construction, or computer systems administrators, 89, 91, and 90% are males in those three fields. The most common jobs for women: registered nurse, elementary school teacher, and human resources administrator. 89, 86, and 90% on those. So why would, in a field largely dominated by women, registered nurse, elementary school teacher, and human resources administrator, why would men make more money than women on a 1 or 2% average? Well, there is a very good explanation for that. There's actually a couple of explanations for that. One explanation is that, again, because women tend to be more family-focused, which means that, one, you have maternity leave that plays a small part in what is, paid towards a woman, because you have, in some cases, women will take 3 months off out of the year for maternity leave. And that's a very small percentage, because on average, the birth rate is 1.26%, meaning that on average, 1.26 women per year will, out of every 100, will wind up having a baby. And then you also have the fact that women, on average, take more sick days than men. There's an article from hrzone.com that says that men are more likely to go into work sick when they are sick, whereas women will actually wind up staying home. And women tend to be the main carer for children or elderly relatives, and therefore more likely to take a sick day to deal with emergencies. Anecdotally, at least, this seems to be true. Yet, while the number of women with children in work are continuing to rise, it seems fair to assume that that isn't accounting for the whole difference. Intriguingly, though, the Octopus HR sickness trend data also breaks down instances of sick leave by department. HR teams, it seems, have the lowest number of sick days at 0.98 per year for men and 2.12 sick days per year for women. At the other end of the scale, finance and admin departments take the most, with finance taking 1.03 sick days per men and 2.83 per year for women, and admin 1.16 for men and 3.06 sick days per year for women. The article here continues. It says this data appears to hint at another cause altogether. Currently, 77% of administrative and secretarial workers are female. Meanwhile, the idea that sickness is linked to a lack of control and empowerment is continuing to gain ground. And then they talk about a study out of Norway that found that those who work in stressful environments are not given much more freedom when in regards to sick leave. But that, of course, only accounts for a small difference. Again, 0.98 sick days per year compared to 2.12 per year. And there's a article from QZ.com, which is Quartz something. I have never heard of this outlet, but they do cite some studies, and they show that on average, 19% of men will work 50 or more hours per week, compared to 7% of women who do the same. So what I did to try to come up with some of the numbers and see if I can manipulate these statistics in a way to basically show whatever I want it to show, I created a fictitious company to run some numbers. So what I did is I created a fictitious company with 100 male employees and 100 female employees. And I took the low end of sick days and figured that on average men would take 0.98 sick days per year, and that women would take 2.12 sick days per year. And in both cases, I made sure that I had at least one employee that did not take any sick days per year. And I ran these numbers a couple of different ways. The first way, I ran the numbers to where people could only take overtime if it was available. So what I assumed is that, there's at least 2 shifts, and people on average would be scheduled for 40 hours per week, and people could only work overtime if someone from another shift called off. So there's that, and I'll get into those numbers broken down when we come back on Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online at fppradio.com.
Why do they hate us? Is libertarianism compatible with Islam? Davi Barker answers these questions and more in Voluntary Islam and Other Essays. He advances the voluntarist cause with analysis of the confluence of values between Islam and libertarianism, as well as contemporary movements from the Tea Party to the Arab Spring. Voluntary Islam by Davi Barker will be available on February 19th. ExpressCoin is the best choice for buying Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and more. ExpressCoin prides themselves on their customer service, so much so that the back end on the website should allow them to be even more focused on your needs. Get your cryptocurrencies with money order, check, wire transfer, or cash deposit. Get started at expresscoin.fppradio.com. That's expresscoin.fppradio.com. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for t-shirts, precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. There's an Amazon shopping iframe built into the website, or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. That's shop.fppradio.com.
Welcome back to Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. Online at fppradio.com. Now, I will tell you how I have manipulated some numbers to prove that, one, statistics can be used to say anything you want them to, and two, to tell you the truth about whether or not men and women who do the same exact job earn the same, and also explain how a man and a woman doing the exact same job with the exact same experience, such as what was pointed out by the payscale.com infographic, where it shows that men earn 1% more than women in jobs such as elementary school teacher and HR, where those are typically, female-dominated areas. How can a man make more in such a field? I'll tell you that in just a moment. But first, I want to make sure that I tell you about a zombie book that your children and you, as an adult, will absolutely love and enjoy. Survivor Max by Davi Barker is the story about an 11-year-old boy named Max who must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire. The slow-moving, non-thinking, lame brains swarm his home searching for living flesh, and Max must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to plan his escape. But first, he must prove that he's too smart to die. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook and Amazon, or you can read Chapter 1 for free at survivormax.com. That's survivormax.com. So, again, what I did here to run some of these numbers to try to figure out exactly how it is that a male employee and a female employee working in the same field with the same, base salary, basically, can wind up showing that men make more than women. And can I manipulate these figures to show that a man makes, somewhere around, if a female makes 73 cents, the male makes $1. So what I did, again, I just ran these numbers, and to run the numbers one way, I assumed that people could only work overtime if there was a shift available. So what I did was found a way to calculate an average of 2.12 sick days per year for a woman and 0.98 sick days per year for a man. Again, that was the low end according to hrzone.com. So what I did there was figured out, all right, so I'll have one of the male employees work as much overtime as possible, which worked out to be one extra shift per week. And I had a female that would not work as much as possible, but I did a figure based on that number that said that 19% of men would work 50 or more hours per week, and 7% of women would work 50 or more hours per week, to calculate that on average women would work about 36.8% of the overtime. So what I have here is an average salary between our men and our women, And I also included 1.26 women with maternity leave, meaning that one woman would take a full 3 months, another woman would take 1 month. So that's 1.25 maternity leaves per year. And a female with a $25,000 base salary, females on average after maternity leave and sick days averaged $24,944.58, whereas the male counterparts averaged $25,258.77, which is a difference of, or rather it's a 98.76% difference between the male and the female salary, meaning that for every $1 earned by the males in my fictitious company here, women earned 98.76%. Now, I ran the numbers to compare the highest earning male employee in my fictitious company with the highest earning female employee in my fictitious company, and found a difference of 80%, meaning that for every $1 earned by the highest paid male in my fictitious company with a base salary of $25,000, the female employee would make 80.8 cents. And if you compare the lowest paid employee, the lowest paid male employee made $24,903.85. The lowest paid female employee, and this is one that took a full 3 months of maternity leave, she only made $21,814.90, which is 87.6 cents for every dollar that the male employee made. If I look at the numbers a different way, to where I have basically unlimited overtime, and I calculated, again, using the numbers of people would have to fill the overtime from somebody calling off, and then others could just work overtime. What I did there was put in 7 women to work 50 hours per week, and then 19 men to work 50 hours per week, and then left the other amount of overtime untouched. And what I have there is the average male salary being $25,083.89 compared to $24,871.78 for a female, which is a difference of less than 1%. So for every dollar made by a male, it's 99.15 cents for a woman. The highest paid from both the male and the female, exactly the same, where I had one male and one female employee who both worked 50 hours per week. They both made $25,780. Then if I compare the lowest paid male to the lowest paid female, then the female would make 83 cents for every dollar earned by the male. The largest pay gap, where I compare the highest wage for a male to the lowest wage for a female, the female made 81 cents for every dollar earned by the male. And then I have the lowest female compared to the average of males, meaning that the average male salary in each case is just a hair over $25,000. The lowest paid female compared to that made 83 or 86 cents on the dollar compared to the males. So using the same base salary and manipulating the figures of average amount of time worked, overtime, sick days, etc., I have numbers ranging from making the same amount of money to making 72 cents for every dollar compared to a male. So my point here, you can manipulate the numbers as much as you want to, but when it comes down to it, the difference between pay between a man and a woman for doing the exact same job, the pay difference is minuscule, if it exists at all. This is Peace, Love, Liberty Radio, online, fppradio.com.